Imagine spending 3 years trying to completely revitalize a company, only to suddenly get let go. What went wrong? Today we're looking into the unexpected departure of Intel's CEO, Pat Gelsinger, and what it means for the tech industry, especially the incredibly competitive world of chip manufacturing.
Gelsinger leaving is definitely a surprising turn of events, especially with all the excitement when he came back to Intel in 2021. People thought he was going to be the one to save the company.
His return got a lot of attention.
Yeah.
What were some of the big plans he had to try to make that happen?
He had a whole strategy to try to make Intel the top chip manufacturer again. He wanted to compete with the biggest companies out there like TSMC and Samsung and get into new markets. He was a big supporter of those ambitious projects like that huge factory in Ohio, remember? The one that was going to get government money from the CHIPS and Science Act. His ideas got people excited and investors started to believe in Intel again.
But even with all that initial excitement and Gelsinger's big plans, he ended up leaving pretty quickly. What caused that to happen?
Well, the board decided to remove him because they were worried about not seeing enough real progress, especially when it came to developing new products. Gelsinger was really focused on making more chips, but the board wanted to see results like right away, particularly in that AI chip market that's growing so fast.
So it sounds like Gelsinger and the board had different ideas about what was important for the company. Was it just a disagreement about which direction Intel should go in?
There were definitely some clashes in how they saw things. Gelsinger's plan to make more chips was a long-term strategy to solidify Intel's position as a leading chip manufacturer. But the board wanted to see faster results with new products, especially in AI where other companies were making big moves.
You mentioned the competition, particularly in AI chips. How much did that affect the board's decision?
The fact that Nvidia is doing so well with AI chips really impacted Intel's position. Nvidia was able to turn their graphics chips into something essential for data centers, and that took away some of Intel's market share. It made Nvidia the most valuable chip company in the world, which put a lot of pressure on Intel to catch up in AI. And all this while they were already dealing with challenges in manufacturing and going up against big players like TSMC and Samsung.
It seems that the board decided to replace Gelsinger because they wanted to focus more on AI. How does this change Intel's position for the future?
Well, it leaves a big gap in leadership at a really important time for the company. The next CEO is going to have to deal with a lot of past mistakes, fierce competition, and the urgent need to become a major player in AI. They'll have to come up with groundbreaking innovations while figuring out this really complicated and constantly changing world of technology.
It's going to be a tough job to find the right person to take over.
Yeah.
What are some of the most important qualities and experience the board will be looking for in the next CEO?
They'll definitely need someone who really knows the semiconductor industry inside and out. They'll need a track record of successfully creating new products and a clear vision for how to handle all the complexities of AI. This person has to be good at making hard choices, motivating a workforce that's facing a lot of uncertainty, and reassuring investors who want to see the company turn things around. They'll also need someone who can deal with Intel's financial problems.
Intel's financial struggles have definitely made people question its future. What are the biggest money worries for the company right now?
Intel had a loss that nobody expected. They gave a really bad sales forecast. They stopped paying dividends for the first time in 31 years, and they even had to let some employees go. They're having to rely more and more on outside investments to pay for their big plans, and that's making people wonder if they can really keep going in the long run.
All these financial problems make you think about whether Gelsinger's expansion plans were even realistic, especially that factory in Ohio. Can you talk more about how important that project was and the problems it's facing?
That Ohio factory was a big part of Gelsinger's plan to make Intel the top chip manufacturer again. They were putting a lot of money into it, hoping to make it a super advanced facility for producing the latest chips. But now that Intel's not doing so well financially, they're having to rely more on outside investments and government money from that CHIPS and Science Act, which is making things a bit shaky.
Now that Gelsinger is gone, nobody knows for sure what's going to happen with the Ohio project or those other big plans. How might the company's approach to expansion change with a new CEO?
The new CEO will have to really look closely at whether these huge projects are even worth it, especially with the company's financial problems and the market changing all the time. They might have to focus on projects that will make money faster or find other ways to make more chips.
For now, the company's being run by two co-CEOs, David Zinsner and Michelle Johnston Holthouse. Can you tell us a little about them and what they'll be doing during this transition?
David Zinsner came to Intel from Micron, a pretty big company in the memory chip world. He knows a lot about handling money in that unpredictable industry, which will be really important as Intel deals with its own financial pressures. Michelle Johnston Holthouse has been at Intel for a long time, almost 30 years. She really understands Intel's products. She was in charge of the client computing division, and that'll be key as they try to get back on track in important markets.
It sounds like they have the experience to handle the problems Intel's facing right now. How might their leadership styles affect the company's overall strategy?
Well, Zinsner's good with finances, so it's likely they'll be careful with spending and maybe avoid those big investments for now. Holthouse really knows Intel's products, so they might put more effort into developing new things, especially in areas where Intel's already strong. They'll need to work together to balance all these priorities and come up with a plan that deals with both the immediate problems and their long-term goals.
If Intel wants to get through this period successfully, they really need to get investors to believe in them again. What can they do to reassure investors and show that they're committed to a sustainable future?
They really need to be open and honest with investors. They have to explain their plans for the future in a way that makes sense and show how they're going to overcome their financial problems and get back to growing in key markets. The new leadership has to prove that they're being responsible with money focusing on investments that will actually make them profitable.
Aside from the money stuff, Intel needs to deal with the technology problems that got them into this mess in the first place. What are the most important areas where they need to innovate to stay competitive in this fast-changing tech world?
The fact that Intel's struggling in the AI chip market shows they need to really change how they develop technology. They have to put a lot more money into research and development, focusing on areas where they can become a leader. That means coming up with GPU technology that can compete, building a strong software environment to support AI applications, and exploring new things like quantum computing and neuromorphic computing.
Those are all areas where Intel's fallen behind other companies. How can they get the best engineers and keep them to make these innovations happen?
To attract and keep the top people, they'll need to create a culture where innovation is valued, encourage teamwork, and offer salaries and benefits that are competitive. Intel needs to show that they're at the forefront of new technologies and that engineers will have the chance to work on exciting and important projects.
Whether Intel can make all these changes will determine if they can become a leader in the tech industry again. What are some of the key things that will decide whether they succeed or fail in this effort?
A lot depends on whether they can develop AI technology that's good enough, build a successful ecosystem around it, and stay disciplined with money while they go through these tough times. They also need to attract and keep the most talented engineers and create a culture that values innovation. The next few months will be really important to see if the new leaders can handle these challenges and guide the company toward a better future.
There's a lot at stake for Intel and shareholders and the whole tech industry. We'll keep watching what they do and analyze their decisions as they start this crucial new chapter. What do you think about Intel's chances of making a comeback, considering all these challenges?
It's hard to say for sure what's going to happen to Intel. The chip industry is always changing, and they're up against some tough competition. But they still have a lot going for them. They've got resources. They've always been known for innovation, and people still recognize and trust the Intel brand. It all comes down to whether they can use those strengths and adapt as technology keeps advancing.
If we want to know how Intel's doing, and if this turnaround is actually going to work, what are some of the signs we should be looking for?
There are a few things to keep an eye on. When it comes to innovation, look at how much they're spending on R&D. Are they buying other companies that are doing interesting things in AI or quantum computing? And are they building a solid software ecosystem to support their hardware? Those are all signs that they're serious about getting back on top in terms of technology.
And what about their finances? What should investors be watching for to see if the company's in good shape and if they can afford to do all these ambitious things?
Investors should watch for signs that they're making more profit. Are they going to start paying dividends again? Because that would show they're confident about their financial situation. And are they reducing their debt, which is a sign that they're being responsible with their money?
Those financial signs are going to be really important if they want investors to trust them again and get the money they need to grow. How can Intel use its history and reputation to help them do that?
They've been around for a long time, and they played a huge role in shaping the computer industry, so that gives them a solid foundation to build on when it comes to earning back investors' trust. They need to clearly explain what they're planning for the future and show how they're going to fix the problems they have right now, while also focusing on innovation. Being transparent and having a clear plan for how they're going to become profitable again are really important for getting investors back on board.
Intel's story is a good example for other tech companies that are dealing with this constantly changing environment. What are some of the main lessons that other industry leaders can learn from what Intel's going through?
It shows just how important it is to be able to adapt to change, have a clear strategic vision, and be able to put those plans into action in this super competitive industry. Intel's experience is a reminder that you can't just sit back and relax even if you're doing well. You have to keep innovating to stay ahead of the curve.
Intel's not done yet. They're at a turning point, and the decisions they make now will decide where they go from here.
The next few months will be crucial for them. We'll be watching closely to see if they can overcome these challenges and become a major force in the tech world again.